Hello and welcome everyone, my name is Captain and today we're going to be talking about new cycle in Last Epoch and about their roadmap, about everything that is going to be updated in the game in the nearest future. If you were following or were not following Last Epoch for last months after its release, I'm going to be updating you on everything that they've talked about and that they've shown that they will be doing. So basically, the new cycle 1.1 is going to be released in July 9th, which is roughly in a month from now, and it's not that long of a period. Path of Exile's League was postponed up until later parts of July, which probably will be something close to 25th, 29th of July, because they will have their developer stream in mid of July, and that means that there's going to be at least 1 or maybe 2 weeks after their revealing stream, which makes this spot for Last Epoch being in July, at the start of July, to have at least somewhat of a good way to release their new cycle. I do think that there is some communication between GGG and EHG, and because they were, they are quite actively talking to each other, as we know from all the Exile cons. So I do think that it is some type of a healthy competitiveness between them and some healthy relationship showing between them that GGG postponed their 3.25 release. And maybe they just, they are cooking some additional changes to PoE2. But for now, let's talk about Last Epoch itself. So as we see here, face terrifying new monolith threats is going to be in patch 1.1 or in cycle 1.1. Harbinger and Pinnacle bosses, and Pinnacle boss random encounters, Nemesis, which is probably new league mechanic, just like Corruptions, Abysses in Path of Exile. This is probably going to be something similar in Last Epoch's version, and Evade Dodge Roll mechanic, which is a very, very good thing that, we do see that in Diablo 4, we do see that in Path of Exile 2 that is coming up, and that's why Last Epoch probably decided that they do need that feature as well. We do have a trailer for the Harbingers of Ruin. I'll probably just mute it a little bit while I'm talking about it. So the trailer itself and the marketing campaign for the season 2 is quite small. It's not as big for sure. They've just posted their this one news on their Steam page. So the quite small trailer for 29 seconds with a little bit of gameplay being shown, probably fighting some type of boss from the new cycle, and the name was dropped: Harbingers of Ruin, July 9th release date, and that's mostly it from the developers on this topic. We do have some communication about all the updates that are coming to the game from their earlier post that was released at May 7th. But just basically, let's look at this image in here. So we do have some additions to the Endgame in 1.1, which everyone was talking about, that they need to have a wider Endgame. They need to have more things to do in Endgame, because monolith runs are quite repetitive and kind of samey. The game had quite a high rise in popularity whenever it was released. Because ARPG fans, they love these seasonal resets. They had only PoE with very half-baked Diablo 4 kinda on the horizon too. Whenever Last Epoch released, it was a success, and I do think that many people will come back for 1.1 cycle, especially if they will address at least some problems with their trading guild, with their endgame, as was shown in here. I do think that people will be more than fine to replay it, and I do prognose like maybe 150k online for sure, because Last Epoch is still, it feels fresh, it feels interesting, there are a lot of good mechanics in it, and they just need to iterate on designs more and more. and give people what the game lacks. Then in cycle 1.2, which will be in probably 4 months after 1.1 drops, we do have here uncover the secrets of Eterra's ancient past, primal hunt endgame events, ancient era story chapter, primordial uniques. So a new type of item which is quite interesting, and especially with how all the different types of legendary items, unique items in Last Epoch work. It's interesting to see what primordial uniques will be. Ancient era story chapter. I'm not sure if that's it's probably not finalization of campaign, but it may be. I don't really know. And primal hunt endgame events, which will probably some additional. A league mechanic will be added to the game. Maybe it will be something more, maybe something like Delve that will be, like Delve in PoE, something that will be on par with Monoliths, the alternative endgame game mode that you can play with, because endgame events sounds a little bit more specific rather than just some additional random encounters throughout the maps. Then in cycle 1.3, we do have Explore Lost Realities Preserved in Time, which this one will be in like probably 8 to 9 months from now. Monolith of Fate expansion, unique false echoes, new procedural side zones. So this will be the big endgame improvement, because here we do have some additional bosses, but it does not really say that it will widen the monolith mechanic itself to some higher extents. But yet again, even some additional boss breakups whenever you do that will be more than welcomed. But here we do have Monolith of Fate expansion, which will probably be similar to all the Siege of Atlases that are in Path of Exile whenever the Atlas of Worlds was presented and stuff like that. And then 1.4, unfortunately, my camera is overlaying that. Unlock your skills, true potential, introducing skill sigils, new endgame bosses, transmog and die system. So yeah, it even shows some additional things on the talent tree, which is quite interesting, because talent trees in Last Epoch are already quite big, and they give you a lot of variability in your builds, and improving it even more will be quite a welcoming change, giving us more things to play with and to on an intuitive level to create new builds is always very cool. Maybe it will be even something like jewels where you can socket things into these talent trees. I'm not sure, but for sure it looks very promising and interesting. The vibe from the community about the game is quite it differs a lot. There are a lot of people who say that they implement things way too slowly, and that Endgame needed a revamp and needed an expansion for a long time, even before the release of the game. There are a lot of people who are more than satisfied with how things going, because they wasn't playing Last Epoch all these like 4 or 5 years whenever it was in early access and not released. And I do think that there is way more healthy population that will play the game and engage with it on every single new season. Even though the end game is not as big, it is still maybe not whenever the pit was introduced, but it is still healthier than Diablo 4's, at least in my opinion. And overall, all the other systems that are inside the game are better. Some people are quite angry at replaying the campaign for all the next times, but Last Epoch has quite interesting ways of cutting your campaign with going through the dungeons. And in my opinion, campaign is more than fine, and it is way better than Helltide releveling in Diablo 4 Season 4. And there is a big feud between Last Epoch and Diablo 4 player bases, because Diablo 4 player base is very insecure about about their game. It is right, and they are rightfully so, because their game was very very bad on release, and the Blizzard dropped the ball. They are still trying to fix the game even after 1 year after its release. Whenever Last Epoch has quite the same targeted demographic, and they've made way better of a product overall, and the systems are in place, and they don't need to overhaul the whole game every single patch, and they do have way more time to just expand it in more meaningful ways. And that's why I do think there's a big hatred from D4 players towards Last Epoch, and it shows in its forums. But I do think that the game will have a healthy player base and will have healthy place in ARPG genre in general. Thanks for watching. Hope you're as hyped for season 1 as I am. And yeah, let's hope that everything when it comes to Endgame and all the things that need to be improved in the game are going to be improved. Bye.